But
Does Plug have
it's just
multiple
yeah, it's just
locations? Is that what's happening?
wow, wow. Imagine. In the future perhaps, but just with a client today. Um, but yeah, it's just like it's an environment where people are just working hard and just being around people who get it and understand it and just like it's the little things. It's like the chats and the as you pass people and like checking on like one of our members, Aaron and Zara, they're going through another pivot and it's like, so what,
Another
how's this
pivot.
pivot
We've
going?
had on the pivot of the pivot of the pivot. What do they call it these days? It's a changing of the tide. I think Zara was
Yeah,
describing it as.
yeah.
But that's
So it's
startups
always
for
it's
you.
nice having this. Yeah, exactly. It's nice being in that energy and like people understanding, when you are, mid 17th pivot, what's going on and the fact that you can, communicate that and bond over that as well.
No, it's hyper true, right? Josh, give us the download. We were at 34 last week or 2 weeks ago, paying members. Where are we at this week?
So we're still at 34, only
Oh,
because hold on. Because it's not just about selling memberships. So we have a vetting process. Like what we're trying to do is ensure that every member of our community fits together like a puzzle piece. Everyone can give value and get value. So we don't just let anyone in. It's not just about purchasing a membership. There is a process. So part of that process is it's a bit of a long process, and maybe this is something that we need to kind of improve. But we've had 12 inquiries or applications, and once you inquire or you apply, the process is essentially
Recording in progress.
there's an application, of course, and that application is meant to ascertain the three things that we're looking for, which is tenacity. Are you tenacious? Are you someone who just like goes out and just does things? You just take a risk. You just like you won't take no for an answer.
mhm.
Do you have bias toward action? Do you have wicked ambition? Are you building a monster? Are you building something that's going to change the world? And then there's a vibe check. So that often includes coming in for either an event or just a trial day, just to see, is this good for you? Is this good for us? Are you a good fit for our community? So there's a lot of curation that goes on. So typically there's like a 30% acceptance rate from application through to paying member. So I would expect to see out of the 12 that we've gotten, that we see like another three or four. But I've been getting emails and messages and things. So it's like people are going, hey, well, we know about it now. Let's get involved. But it takes like maybe a week or two to get the people signed up.
Josh, talk to me about the tenacity, right? How do you find that? What is the identifiers that you're looking for in terms of the members that you want inside of Plug so that you can have that curated community?
Yeah, I think tenacity, the way we understand it is you just have like sort of an unruly confidence, and you will just do what is necessary to get your product or get your service or get your startup off the ground. Um, like for example, this isn't one of our members, but another person who's like tangential to our community is in our community, but not a co-working member. He was launching this um, company, and he just went door to door for days and weeks on end selling the service because it was a an AI voicemail system for businesses.
Hmm.
And that sort of just like get on the ground, boots on the ground, roll up your sleeves, and just get your shit done. Get your sorry, oh, is it?
No, it's okay. You can swear on the
uh,
stream. It's okay. We
but
beep it
yeah,
out for
just
the
like
clips.
yeah, you just go out and nothing cowers you. You just understand what needs to be done, and you have the tenacity to walk into the rooms, to have the right conversations, to just um make the moves that are necessary in order to get the traction that you need to move forward.
You think it's something that can be taught, or do you think it's something that people just innately have?
Um,
You're
I
on the
think
ground, grassroots, literally around
mm,
people building, around hyper confident, hyper ambitious people on a daily basis. Do you think
I
it can
think
be
I
taught?
yeah, I think there are some people for whom they just don't have that naturally. But
Mm.
I think there are two other types of people that there's like a latent tenacity that needs to be triggered, and there are people who are just like they wake up in the morning and they're just tenacious by nature. Um, the latent tenacity are people who, when they hear that things are possible, it's like a light bulb moment, a switch flicks, and they begin to put themselves out there more and more. And as that behavior is rewarded, they get more and more tenacious. So, for example, we had um, a a fireside chat with a guy who like he what he described as he called pirate energy.
Mm.
He was like, go out into the world with pirate energy. Just go out and just like t take what's yours, right? Just go and grab it. And his whole story was how he had become a World Economic Forum fellow at the ripe old age of 22.
Oh,
And
is that
the only
youngest
reason
ever?
I'm not too sure. I think it was like a program for young people.
Incredible.
But he was like on the younger side of things. And the only reason why he'd applied for the program was because the final interview was in London and they would
Mm.
fly you out. And he wanted to go visit his brother in London and wanted a free flight. So already
I
you can
like
kind of
it.
see his sort of thinking. And then as he was going through the application process, um, you need to speak two languages in order to get through to the final stage because it's a global role. So then they've taken all of them to um, a language assessment center, and you have to go and choose a person to have your language assessed to make sure that you can speak a second language. And he's looking around; he does not speak a second language. The guy's Australian. he's not he's not got it. So then he's like, okay, what can I do here? Sees that there's an English booth, and he's like, right, okay, I'm Swedish. English is my second language. Cool, let's go. So he sits down at the English assessment thing, puts on a really bad Swedish accent, and then just kill. And obviously, and then the woman's like, "Wow, your English is incredible." And he's like, "Ah, we try, whatever." And that's a sort of tenacity. That's a sort of like what he calls pirate energy. But that conversation you could see as that conversation was happening in the house party, where we have our fireside chat, then we move to the house party. You could see the light bulbs going off in people's heads,
Hmm.
where it was like all you had to do was explain to them and show them actually this stuff is possible. You just have to, I mean, to milk a cliche, you have to fake it till you make it a lot of the time. It's about image, it's about like what is the minimum you have to do so that you can leverage or at least get into a position that leverages you into an even better position. And you just have to think about what is at your disposal, what assets can you use, leverage that little that you have, even if it's just like 100 followers on LinkedIn, leverage the little you have in order to get to that next level. And for some people, it's just like you tell them that's possible and they go and move. For some people, they already have it. And then for some people, it's just like it never even, it's not something that even if they hear about it, they will go out and do it. So I think like the job of a founder community like Plugged and the job of media platforms like yours are to platform those stories and to show people what's possible to trigger that latent tenacity so that they could then go out and live their lives in a way that is a more that is more impactful on the world.
How do you find that in the candidates that you're and the teams that you're bringing into the plug community? What are the questions that
Um,
you ask?
Yeah, I think it's pretty basic. It's asking them things like, how do you what has been the most chaotic, for example, what's been the most chaotic part of your journey thus far, and how do you navigate those sorts of things? What's been the most difficult um part of the journey thus far, and how do you navigate, how do you get over those humps? And in the answer to those questions, like you ask a pretty basic and open question. Um, but then in the answers to those questions, you then dig deeper into, how they approach things. What have they done? Why have they done it? What is the kind of the thing that's driving them towards it? And then you just dig deeper and deeper and deeper until you really get into like the why of everything. And I think the what sometimes becomes irrelevant at that point because there are some people who are like, you know, you might look at their business model and think, is this going to go anywhere? But then you really dig down deep into what they're doing, why they're doing it, and what the ultimate vision is. And you see and you believe, maybe you don't believe necessarily, this isn't for our members necessarily, but just more founders in general. Maybe you don't necessarily believe that that thing will make it into the stratosphere, but you know that that person will make it into the stratosphere because you see that spark in their eyes, you see that. And I think there is a lot of that, um, there is a lot of that within the application process where it's the moment at which a person lights up. It's a moment at which they lean forward in their seat and they bring you into their world and they bring you into their vision and like surround you and yeah, surround you with the frameworks that they're thinking through. And suddenly you're on the journey with them. And the people that can do that, and that's a very intangible thing, the people that can do that are the ones that you can sort of tell they're going to make it because they are like what they exude is a deep, deep passion, not just a passion, but like a it's like the entirety of their being is in this. It's like it's on a spiritual level, this person is a founder, and they are absolutely dedicated and committed to, if not this, it'll be something else, and if not that, it'll be something else. And it's like that sort of mindset. And if there is like a an ultimate reason why that's pushing them, you know that through every pivot and through every difficulty, they're just going to get there. And I think, you know, kind of putting the application process aside, but just in general, when interacting with founders, and I'm sure you get this when you're interviewing them, there are some people who you know that this person feels this on a level that no matter what happens, they're just going to keep going and going and going. And then if I leave an interview believing in the founder, then that founder is in. Like you've brought me along, and I'm excited for you. I'm excited to have you in the space. I'm excited to see how you go. And at that point, I'm just like, just come on, let's go, let's get building, let's get you into the space because this is I want to see this happen. Like, let's go, you know?
I love it. I think there's something so beautiful about when you find someone that has this maniacal sense of
Yeah,
this is what I'm committing my life to for the given period of time that is required to get it off the ground, monetizing to and like I think the monetizing is only half the fun, right? It's like it's just a sense of what you have to do. It's like raising capital. It's part of the process. The real
yeah.
work is done when you add value and create impact. And I think that what allows for those founders in Plug to do that is having that environment, right? Of being around hyper ambitious people.
I think what I and these are conversations I have all the time at the house parties that we put on. Is when you realize, you sort of sit back and you see the kind of the crazed look in somebody's eye, and you're like,
Is this
oh,
after a couple drinks in, or is this as the drinks are coming in?
this is a couple of drinks in, and like you get into like a point of when you get deeper beyond the kind of the surface level stuff, and you start speaking about the why of everything. And I remember having a conversation in the house party, and it was like a good like 90 minutes of just like, "Ah, and then we're gonna do this, and then we're gonna do this," and it was great, and it was like I sort of sat back and I was like, oh, like you're crazy, like this is like you are mad, and you are like there is such a deep ingrained and like you know a spiritual level belief in what you're doing, and I'm excited to be around that. I'm excited to be around that energy because it's just like whatever you do, you're just going to push past because you just all you see is like it's you are blinded by the thrill of the build. And that's one of the things that we're looking for. Is like you're just like it's tunnel
Horse
vision. I see
blinkers
nothing
on,
else.
optimizing for
It's
that.
and you can see that when someone starts to talk about their startup in that way, it's like, oh, you're a bit crazy, and I love that. I love that.
It's pretty cool. I mean, like if we just take, we've had the big team on the show. We know they've just hired an ML engineer for advertising or ads. I saw that on LinkedIn today. That update. I think it's like all of them are just wired differently, right? As an example, you've got Usman in the back corner sometimes who sits there and just works on math problems, and that man is quite literally just doing math and physics in his head. And sitting down with people like that is insane. Do you end up finding yourself constantly feeding off that energy to give them the best opportunity to win within the context of Plug?
Yeah, it's and I think that's the greatest thing about not just Plug, but you know, founder communities and founder environments in general, is that there are people who understand that the world is just a collection of ideas, and what is at the moment at one point wasn't. And it just takes one person and one team to just push forward something until lives change, the world changes, industries change, etc. Like the way that we, from Facebook through to Amazon and Google, it's just one team's mad vision against all odds to push something through, and that energy and that being around that sort of and being in that environment when you are yourself maybe going through periods of, because it's not you know chocolate and roses all the time, by no means. It's hardly ever that. And when you're going through your own individual problems, and you're going through your own pivots and cash flow problems, and taxes are due, and the accountant wants something else, and there's like a contract to deal with, and there's a thousand things. um, and then you have a conversation with Oz about the mathematics of how you get a drone to fly and pick things up, and you have a conversation with Martin about how translate, how do you get AI to design a rocket ship with just one single prompt, an engineer. I was having this conversation yesterday. It's like, how do you with one prompt get a spaceship design that is if created it is space ready, right? Like it's structurally sound. And then having a conversation with Aaron around, and Zara around, like bigged, and how do you um you know put together an infrastructure that allows you just to test millions of different variations of ads at scale. And you just see everyone's like solving their individual problem, but they're all attacking it with such furiosity, such ferocity, such unrelenting passion, that it's just you cannot help but be infected. You cannot help but be encouraged. And you cannot help but be like, okay, well, if they can do it, and these are my age mates, these are my peers, then of course I can do it. And it's very intangible, but you leave those conversations just simply inspired to get back to the build and to move quickly like they
Oh,
are.
it's hyper true. Martin coming back and just the aura that he comes back with from San Francisco. Ina as well, as an example. People go, they come back, and they pop in, they share the learnings, they crack on, they build, they move on. And it's great that Plugged has this opportunity for people to just be around these individuals. I've got to ask, how does Plugged make money? Like, is it the member seats? Is it more than that? I think on the surface, people look at it and go like, great, this is one awesome community. But does that pay the bills?
Yeah, I think yeah, community business models are always tricky, right? Because it's very difficult to monetize community, and what I'll say is that we don't make money from memberships. The memberships aren't really the core business model, because there isn't really money in community membership. However, there is money in access, in the sense that, so for example, we have partnerships with Notion, Fiverr, and some other startups and businesses. And these are businesses that are fundamentally helpful to a startup or a founder's journey. So, like, for example, Fiverr, we've all been there. You need some graphic design done. I mean, now it's AI, but back in the day, you'd like
Just nano banana these days.
yeah, exactly. But like there's, anything from data crunching to, like, pretty much anything that you need on call and very flexibly. Notion is the same thing. Like our entire, startup OSs are built on Notion. These are companies that like actually solve problems for founders. And just in any sort of, yeah, sponsorship arrangement, they want to be in the room, and they want to and they want to have conversations and build trust with founders as early as possible. And what we're finding is that brands are moving towards away from like this more abstract advertising model, because founders, they don't really, I mean, you can spend as much as you want on meta ads and things like that, but founders tend to buy through community and networks and introductions and recommendations. And they're understanding that in order to build trust with founders, you need to catch them at an early stage. You need to deliver value, and that's our number one thing for our B2B partners. We say, look, we're not just partnering with you because you're going to give us money. Deliver value. Like, what are you going to deliver to our startups that will help them on their journey? So Fiverr, it's like they're giving vouchers away for services. Notion are giving away 6 months free worth of their trial. And obviously these all play into their wider business model as well, but it's always a give and take. So the in terms of how to answer your question, how does Plugged make money? Plugged makes money by, well, event tickets, sometimes, but mostly through partnering with organizations that are solving problems in the founder ecosystem, and just they want to speak to founders, they want to be in front of founders, and they want to be on that journey as early as possible. And then we will organize events for them, we will do content for them, etc., etc.
We know, I think, but me and you both, is that such an early stage, if you build trust with these incredible teams, your product is incredibly sticky, right? Because the entire infrastructure gets built on it, the workflows, the tools, the automations. Notion's a great example of that. I see like half the Macs open just with Notion, right? I think yours included from walking around Plugged.
Oh yeah,
But
there's the stickers.
the stickers just, oh, don't get me wrong, the hats. The
The
hats is what
hats,
we
we got the
need.
hats. I think we got boba straws from Notion as well. Very, very
Really?
California.
I
Yeah, we
like
we've
it.
been we've been giving out metal boba straws at pretty much every event.
Boba straws. Oh, how it's the small things. It's just the small things. They want to win share of mind, and so they come to Plugged and they get in at an early stage with these teams, and then can build the relationships with them longer term. I assume that that's the goal.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. And our number one thing is this thing valuable for our members? Because I
Mm.
think one of the mistakes that communities make, or at least when they monetize, is that you might go to an event and you just get a pitch from a service that isn't really relevant. They've clearly just paid to be in the room,
Hmm.
and we've had partners that have offered money, and we're just like, look, this isn't a useful thing for our people. This isn't something that makes sense for our people. And you can't just pay money to get into the room with them. If our founders don't leave the interaction with you having had a problem solved, then what are we doing here? Because our job is to leverage you all into delivering value for our people if you want access to them. So that it comes at a cost, and that cost is solve a problem. That's what we say to our partners: solve a problem, and then you can get into the room, because that's the promise that we make to our founders that and our members, is that if you're in our space, you're an intro or conversation away from having your problem solved. This is a space to solve problems and to work hard. So if you want to get in the room, solve a problem.
Given that you're courting a lot of brands to get them in the room, as well as the other side of that, obviously wanting the best talent and the best teams and the right individuals in the room. On both sides, who are the aspirational brands that you want to work with at Plugged? And then on the other side, is there a team or is there a company outside in the ecosystem you're like, I would love those guys or those gals, that team, to work from here?
Hmm. I think if I was to, again, like, working through our framework of, okay, are you a useful ecosystem player? Are you somebody that um uh genuinely solves a problem, and you've got product market fit within the ecosystem? I think, like, I would love to work with Slack. I think that's like a big obvious one. Like,
Yes.
if we could, again, for our members, somehow get a deal with Slack, and Slack was supporting, that would be incredible. I think the classics like Google and things like that. That's an interesting question. I think Canva would be amazing. Canva is like, again, I use Canva all the time. ChatGPT would be
Hey,
or OpenAI would be
OpenAI, if you're
incredible.
listening in,
I
we
think
could
I'm
get
just
you on
sort
the
of
show.
listing all the things that, well, yeah, I mean, I'm sort of listing all the things that I use on a kind of day-to-day basis. But I think any brand that plays a role in the day-to-day life of a founder, because we know that there's like a huge amount of alignment there, and we can then leverage our access and community and audience to get founders a better deal, such that if Slack came along and offered credits and things like that. We can offer that to our members and get them better positioned. And these are small things, but they do help, especially if you're like very early on and you don't have money, like, $20 a month, $50 a month to like put your team on a Notion team plan, for example.
Do you ever see yourself building a
Um,
syndicate of Plugged?
a syndicate
An
of,
investing syndicate, given that you've got these
oh,
incredible talents in the room.
I think it's what naturally makes sense.
Mm.
Because if you look at the way that we're moving, you've obviously got founders who are incredible, but also need capital. And once you've got them in the room, the next thing to do is then just to coordinate with people who have capital and say, look, we have a steady stream of people worth investing in. Come and invest. I think it starts. I think the way that we're approaching it is to start very light touch. So we start with getting involved with getting venture scouts in, which we do have. So at our events, there's usually one or two venture scouts that have come in just to kind of see what's going on. Um, and then I mean, we want to solve one problem at a time. Let's fix the membership pipeline problem first. And then once we have that membership pipeline flowing, then it only makes sense to bring in capital, because that's the missing piece at the moment. Even from a plug point of view, from a long-term point of view, I would love to be able to. There is a member who needs capital who we believe in, and we just say, "It's 100 grand, go." Like for plug to
I feel like there's a Plugged
fulfill all of
fellowship
those.
coming, like in the works long term, like 5, 6 years down the line, where
Yeah, I
you can make those bets yourself because you have that track record of bringing in incredible teams and those teams exiting and raising capital.
yeah, I want in the future, what our internal motto is, and as a part of our rebrand that was going to be coming in a few months, is going to really express is that Plug's mission is to make it easy for good people to change the world. And if we're going to make it easy for good people to change the world, a big part of that is capital. A big part of that is talent. A big part of that is, being able to help our members hire properly and get a team that's going to accelerate them towards their goals in the right way. And then an environment that supports them and pushes them towards that. So the dream is that anything a founder needs, you walk into our space and it's there. It's an oasis for founders. It's a beautiful, it's like you need capital. We're like, yeah, go to the fifth floor. That's the investor floor. You need to hire the most cracked operators. Yeah, go to the second floor. That's where they are. You need offices, third floor. Loads of offices. Go, like, grab your check from the fifth floor, grab your team from the third floor, grab your office, and then just build. Because that I think is our role. It is enable the good people to do good work and step back. It's what universities do really well. They get in incredible people and allow them to produce the essays and whatever, and produce the research that then makes the world a better place and makes an impact on the world. And their job isn't to go and dictate what you build or sorry, what you research or what you do. Their job is to create the environment that makes it as easy as possible. And that's why universities change the world on a cohort by cohort basis. It's prime ministers, it's the next generation of researchers, it's cancer treatment development, it's leaps in neuroscience, because all they do is create an environment where you have all the tools you need and it just makes it easy for you to succeed in life. And that's what we want to build, like a university style environment where you walk in, that building over there is the investors. That building over there is the operators. That building over there is office space. Over there is your accommodation. Get to work. Stop worrying about everything else. We'll take care of the worries. Just go and do the thing that you're good at, which is building something that will help people.
Josh, before we let you go and saving to save Plugged, I need one or two aspirational teams that you want to get in. Who's on the list? Inside of your own
Oh
personal
gosh.
network, who do you want to call out and be like, hey, you talk a big game, but we want you at Plug to talk a big game. We want to help. We want you to give back
Mm.
as well.
Do you know what? We don't actually have a target list. I think there are two organizations that we'd love to we have worked with before, and we love their founders, because they've done an incredible job of curating them. and a bunch of them are already members, but we want more. So E-War is a great example. Like whenever we run an E-War event, you can just it's palpable in the room. You just feel the kind of the maturity of their outlook. And they're early 20s, mid 20s, but they just have like a way of thinking that you're just like, oh, okay, all right. You're not only crazy, but you know what you know how to direct it, and you're good at what you do. Antler's the same thing. Like it's a high caliber of founder. And then if I would point out one team, is Gen Z. I'm not sure if you've know the guys at Gen Z.
I don't.
It's they're doing I'm not sure if they're out of stealth yet, so I'm not going to say what they're doing. So let me not out them.
But they're
But
doing
they're
some
just
incredible
like
work over there.
they're doing some incredible work somewhere in some industry that I can't talk about. But they are just like a great trio. They're hilarious.
I like it.
They're very serious and they're very good at what they do, but they're just like a great vibe to be around. So wherever they are, come and join.
I love it. Josh, where can they find Plugged?
So best thing to do is head over to our LinkedIn or our Instagram, Plugged Founders. And then if you want to get involved, click on our link tree, the link in our bio, and there's you can come for a free trial day, you can apply, you can come to an event. We've got two open houses coming up in September. Two of them actually with Notion. So come get some free Notion. And yeah, just head to our social media pages and click on the link in our bio and come say hi. We're excited to see you.
Josh, you're doing a service to the ecosystem, and let's hope we end up saving Plugged in 100 days. I'm going to do my bit. You keep doing your bit. I'll see you on the other side. Thank you, my friend.
See you on the other side. Bye
Ciao,
bye.
ciao. Bye.